So now what we'll do is add some text to our file and actually add an animation preset so that you can see some of the different kinds of things that are possible there. We have our Gary 1, Gary 2, and our soldier with the hat. We're just going to put those guys over there. I'm going to turn off the visibility of my tennis ball. And I'm going to jump up to my text button. And so when I click the text tool, the character element over here automatically pops up, so that's going to give me some different options here. And if I click in my composition, you can see we have a vertical line that indicates my cursor, and my text element has been created at the location of my playhead. Now that is something that is determined by my preferences. If I go back up to After Effects and Preferences and General, you can see that there's an option here, Create Layers at Composition Start Time. And if I click the checkbox there, then if I create a text element, it's going to start at the beginning of the composition. By not having it selected, it creates it at wherever my playhead is located. So that's something just to keep in mind. And remember that you can always pick up the layers and move them within the composition if you like. So we've got the text element here, and if I type you can see that right now it's in the default black text. If I select this, I can make a change if I want it to be blue, if I want it to be white. So we've got a lot of different kinds of things to think about. The other thing that you really want to pay attention to inside After Effects is when things are layered together, it's going to change both the way that the color looks, and it's also going to change the legibility. So for example, if I like this particular blue color and I click OK, we've got our element here, and it's not quite as clear in this particular location as it might be if I was to switch back to my regular selection tool and bring it up over here. So you can see the difference in the visibility as far as that goes. One of the other things that I want to be able to do though is to, we're going to drag this back here to the beginning just to show you that we can do that. I also want to think about what kinds of things can I do to make the text a little bit more interesting. And so if I select my text layer and I come over here to my effects and presets, and underneath animation presets we have a whole category of text modifications, and if I want to think about a way to animate my text in, you can see that inside that particular folder there are a lot of different options. I'm going to use my resize arrow to move this over so I can actually see what happens here. And if I take a look at some of the different options, let's go ahead with something random word shuffle in. And so if I come back here to the beginning and I press the space bar, you can see my preview of how some things come together. Now one of the things to keep in mind is that After Effects has to create each of the individual frames that it shows you whenever it's trying to make a preview. And so for this particular example, you could see that there were some hiccups in the way that the actual piece was playing. Now one of the things that I want to do is target my location of my work area, and if I press the space bar, we can see how things sort of move into play. So one of the things that I can do is, based on the way that this particular piece is previewing, if I want to really let it move into the screen, I can come down and drag the position and change it so that as we watch things move in, it's like they're appearing for the first time. Right. And so if I preview that by using the space bar, you can see, again, we have a little bit of a of a chugging. But what I want to do is bring your attention over to the preview window. And the preview window is going to give me some options in terms of what kinds of things I am going to be able to see. And so we can go back to first frame or previous frame. We can play. We can go to next frame or last frame. We can mute the audio. So we've got that's the icon for play once. That's the icon for loop. And that's the icon for ping pong, which is play forwards and then play backwards, to give you the idea. Now, a RAM preview, what the RAM preview does is it actually generates each of the individual files for each of the individual frames and plays them together. And this is going to be our best approximation of how things are actually looking. If I click on the RAM preview, you can see that the piece now has that full green line over the work area, and again, this is why that work area is important. And I can see the preview value. So if I do the RAM preview again, if you take a look at what's happening in my info window, we can see that this is actually playing in real time, and that's an important piece of the After Effects puzzle. If I come back and I just press the space bar and I look at what's happening up here in my info window, sometimes it will say not playing in real time, and if I make any changes to my piece, like here, I'll try that. And if you watch what's happening up here, you can see it flashes to red when it's not in real time. And if we know that what we're seeing is in real time, then we can assume that that's pretty close to how it's going to look in our finished version of the motion graphic. If it's flashing in red and it's saying it's not in real time, that means it's playing probably a lot slower than it's going to actually play in the finished product. And a lot of times what will happen is we'll get used to the way that something looks on the screen. We'll modify things so that it looks the way that we want it to, but if it's not playing in real time, then when we create the final version, things go by a lot faster than we think that they're going to. So it's just important to keep that in mind, and always use that RAM preview to give you as close to reality as a preview as you can get inside After Effects. The green progress bar indicates which frames are cached to your RAM. When all of the frames in the work area are cached, the RAM preview plays back in real time. So you want to look for those green frames, so you want to look for that green bar as you're previewing your material. But again, you'll never know exactly what it looks like until you render it out, and that's one of the charms, I guess, of After Effects. If we take a look at what's happening inside that text file, though, we can start to see some different things happening inside our time graph. And here we've got a dot and another dot. And what that means is that inside our sequence of events here, we have a shift in properties. And I mentioned before the idea of the time vary stopwatch and the way that these kinds of things can move and change over time with respect to any of the different things that we're adding, or any of the things that are sort of on our object by default. And when we added our animation preset, what that did was it changed the value in the keyframes that we have here. And so something is changing over time, and so that's just important to kind of have in mind as we go. And we'll talk more about this as we work. And so basically what I just wanted to do by showing you how to work with those effects and presets is give you the opportunity to take advantage of some of the pre-built things inside After Effects so that you can feel like you're doing something early on in the game.